Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Shooty Talks About. I went to go make a Too Darn Shooty episode, and it turns out I don't have nearly enough footage to put an episode out yet, so I'm gonna put that on hold for a little bit. Just for a little bit. I'm working on the footage part. Um, uh, I guess real quick I can go in. I would like to actually go into my whole thing with like the Too Darn Shooty series. It's primarily like a more like a highlight reel for myself sort of deal, but of course I want it to be entertaining to watch. Um, and basically though, it's I primarily like to keep it as a like multiplayer only type of deal because honestly, single player stuff is fine, but you seldomly when I play a single player game do like wild, wacky things happen. So typically speaking, I keep the episodes as a word. I keep it as a multiplayer thing because a lot more unpredictability happens in a multiplayer thing. So I haven't been playing a lot of multiplayer games. That's why there has not been a too darn shooty video in a while. I'm working on it though currently. Anyway, so I decided instead I'm gonna put out another Shooty Talks About, and this one's gonna be special because I'm gonna be talking about. Oh God, just give me a second. I need to. It's 12 films, 12 movies all at once. The Halloween franchise. um, I guess real quick. Um, I'm a I'm a little bit of I'm not a big super duper fan of slashers, but Halloween in particular I like a lot because, well, mainly Michael. I don't know what it is about it, but Michael's character, um, it's the most consistent character and throughout all of the films, and well, most of the films is what I should say. But also, it's like I don't know, man. It's something about the whole his character. I don't know. It tickles me more than Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. Um, who what I would argue those are like his would be like the rivals to Halloween is um the Friday the 13th films and Nightmare on Elm Street. Just in terms of how many sequels they get. Anyway, I digress. So I watched all of the Halloween movies at this point. I was marathoning um, all of the other films before the Halloween 2018 movie, including the Rob Zombie movies. And I have seen the Rob Zombie, or not the Rob Zombie, excuse me, 20 Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. So I will be talking about those too, and I'm gonna like talk about them. It's gonna basically be in the order that the films were made, but I'm also gonna talk about them in the uh, different timelines because for those people out there who don't know, because they have better things to do than watch a fuck ton of really terrible horror movies, is basically they've rebooted the Halloween franchise so many different times that there's like a couple different like timelines that the movies end up making up. So I'll make those clear as we go along because it continuity for the sake of continuity discussion. Also because I can. It's this is my goddamn YouTube channel. um, I refer to the timelines as you have the what I call the Michael Myers saga, which is like the original continuity in the films, and then in Halloween H2O, H20. I call it H2O because it sounds funnier. They completely rebooted the timeline, and H2O is technically Halloween 2. uh, and then, to make things more confusing, Halloween 2018 is also technically Halloween 2. Um, and and then to further confuse things, Halloween 3 is not even in any of these timelines. It's its own separate film, so I will be talking about that one separately. I guess I won't be talking about them in order. Shut the fuck up. All right, so we'll start with the Halloween, the Michael Myers saga. Starting with, of course, the first film, Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. Um, John Carpenter's Halloween, solid film. Just really good, really entertaining. Um, Laura, Laurie's character in particular is Laurie's character and Dr. Loomis are the two standout performances other than Michael in this film. And Laurie is pretty likable for the most part in this film. I didn't hate her. um, you're rooting for her, which is odd if you think because if you think about slasher films now, most of the time you're kind of just hoping the killer comes in and kills everybody. But this is back like Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween's like the proto slasher, so basically he wrote characters where you cared about them and you hoped they didn't die, and he accomplished that task. Dr. Loomis is when I say likable, I don't mean like he's a fun, quirky character. He's a character that you understand him and his motives. What he's doing there, how he fits into the story. He doesn't feel like he's shoehorned in necessarily. Um, Michael is uh, excellent in this film, of course. His just whole um, he's like a force. Michael is basically just a force of nature. He doesn't give a fuck. He just comes in and kills shit. That's just him, and it's in nature, and it's something you can kind of understand. You can kind of like okay, yeah. Um, he's the boogeyman, as they say, just monster who fucks shit up. He's not a he doesn't need to be a deep, complex character. He just needs to be a threat for the normal human beings in the film to outsmart, to outwit, and to survive. And I think they accomplished that with Halloween. The sequel is Halloween 2, which the events in Halloween 2 take place immediately after Halloween. Um, Real quick, the ending of Halloween, the first Halloween, is fucking brilliant because I don't think they were expecting to make a Halloween 2, and so the ending of the first Halloween is like basically uh, Michael falls off this balcony and Loomis goes over to look to see where he is. He fell, but when he gets over there, Michael's not there. And then the film ends with like the camera just taking all like basically like popping in and out of different locations, and you hear Michael's like breathing. And the whole idea is basically it's you don't know where Michael is, so he could be anywhere. And they utilized that pretty well with Halloween 2. Um, Basically Laurie ends up in a hospital, and Michael breaks into the hospital and kills everybody while trying to get to Laurie. It's pretty straightforward. It's okay for a sequel, but they did this stupid thing where they uh, would you call that a retcon? Where they I think you would call it a retcon, where basically they say, oh, it turns out Laurie's Michael Myers' sister, and that explains why Michael Myers is trying to chase her down. But honestly, who fucking cares? I don't think anybody really cared why Michael Myers would be chasing down Laurie. I think it's just more. I I think that's just kind of a moot point, but they stuck with it. Um, and then in this movie, they really like they added a lot of unlikable characters. Not all of them are unlikable. Some of them are likable, but then others are just kind of there to die characters. So But for the most part, it's like Laurie, and then of course again Dr. Loomis, kind of kind of being the ones you root for through the whole film, while everyone else is just kind of there to die, including the poor U.S. Marshal who shows up at one point to bring Loomis back to God knows where, and Loomis fucking gets that guy killed. So anyway, though, that's Halloween 2. Continuing in the continuity, this might get confusing, but you skip from Halloween 2 to Halloween 4. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Um, so in The Return of Michael Myers, uh, basically it picks up a few years later, a bunch of years later, in fact, and Laurie dies in between films, which is film talk for they couldn't get what's her face, Jamie Lee Curtis to come back and reprise her role as Laurie Strode. That's what that means. So she was too busy doing Activia commercials. Um, so instead they're like, hey, we'll make it so Laurie had like a kid in between films, and so they do that. But Laurie died, so now the kid's like in an orphanage or special needs orphanage. I Maybe I read that wrong. It seemed like all the kids were like special needs, or um maybe they were like all like crazy. I don't know. It didn't it felt like she was more like in a hospital than she was in an orphanage. Especially with the way like she had these oh wait, she wasn't that oh no, that's in the next film. Well fuck. Fuck me, I ruined it already. That's staying in. I'm not editing that out. No, okay, I'm wrong. So she's okay. Now I remember. She's an orphan, and she's adopted in the fourth movie. Okay, I got that straight. And she's living with a foster family, and then she has like a older sister, I think they call her stepsister. That's it. And then she's kind of fills the role of Laurie, sorta. She wasn't as likable as Laurie because she's kind of a bitch to her foster sister in the beginning, and they're trying to go for this whole thing where she learns to love her sister, I guess, but didn't really. I don't know. The execution was kind of blasé, I guess. It wasn't very good. So it was so not good. In fact, I completely forgot it even happened. Oh, whoops! I watched all these films back to back, so my brains are kind of fried. I think that's like a medical condition. If you watch all the Halloween movies in a row, you get like some kind of mental illness. So anyway, though, yeah, Michael Myers stand out in this. Actually, that's the thing. Michael Myers starts becoming more of the protagonist in a twisted sense because everybody around the main characters start becoming unlikable, and you just kind of wish Michael would kill them at that point. And uh, like I feel like I don't know. Is that like what the directors are intending? Is they just want you to wish these characters would die and you root for the bad guy? Because it's odd. it yeah, I can't be the only one who watches a slasher film and I hope the killer kills them all. You just like every because it's obvious. I mean, this is an obvious joke everyone makes, but it's true that Michael Myers he walks a mile an hour, but he will always outwalk you even if you're running or driving a car. It doesn't matter. He will catch up to you, and it's because I've noticed this in my old age. Um, Basically, everybody makes stupid decisions, and that's the only reason why Michael Myers catches up to them. They won't like run outside or run past him. They'll like sit in the corner and cry like a bitch, or um, they'll run up into the attic like a dead end. It's like, okay, you deserve to die at that point, and that kind of starts showing in this film. A lot of the characters again, they're just kind of unlikable. Loomis returns again. Donald Pleasance returns as Loomis, and he's all for some reason he's I don't know, he just sticks that role. It's not a hard role to stick, I understand, but he's just kind of a, I don't know, like he's believable in that role. It feels like him. Uh, then the next one is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, which is at the end of Halloween 4, the cop, or at the end of Halloween 4, the cops, I think, shoot the fuck out of Michael Myers and he falls into a well, and then they think he's dead. And then it turns out he's not dead. It turns out he's still alive. Yes, I'm correct about this. And then Michael Myers comes back, and now Michael Myers and Laurie's daughter, who's still a little girl in this film, she's now in a foster home or a special needs home. But she's got a mental connection to Michael Myers, and she knows what Michael Myers is up to. They kill off, and it's weird. They kill off um, the stepsister really fast in the beginning of this film. They just kill her off, which was the dumbest decision ever because they replace her with the stepsister's friend, and the stepsister's friend is not again not likable, and that's like a reoccurring thing with all these characters is they're just not likable. Most of them are just kind of like dickheads or really horny. Everybody's really horny in these films. That's kind of a slasher trope. But honestly, like I kind of root for Michael Myers when a couple of teens decide, "Hey, let's go fuck in the barn." You know how dirty that is? Go find a bedroom, you fucking weirdo. Anyway, worst Michael Myers mask in the entire franchise, by the way. The worst. So typically in a Halloween movie, for the most part, Michael Myers is like lit in a specific way where you can't see the actor's eyes, and it work well for the and it's not like the mask is made that way. You literally can't see his eyes because of the lighting. And actually, I shouldn't say you literally can't see his eyes. You could sort of see his eyes a little bit sometimes. It's like if the light catches it just right, you can see the actor's eyes. Um, which kind of plays into Michael's whole character is that he doesn't talk, but Michael is very expressive. You can actually kind of tell, like, what he's thinking in a moment. Like, he does this head tilt thing, and I love it when he does that because you can tell like he's thinking. He could, and I think that's kind of like a big draw to me for Michael is that he's kind of a thinker. And if like the other guys, other kill slashers are typically very just blunt and to the point. But they're also kind of dumb. Like they're really dumb. Michael's smart for the most part. He's actually like, I keep getting messages, and it's pissing me off. But yeah, like Michael's actually pretty smart. If you kind of like, he just stops and he thinks. He seldomly falls for tricks and traps. He actually typically will. he'll he'll like outthink a trap or something like that. Um, but you could kind of tell what he's thinking in a moment, just like with the way he's like looking at something, or how he looks around. He'll examine a door frame before he walks through because he knows something's up. What did you do to this door frame? You poisoned it, didn't you? But this film, to go back real quick to Halloween 5, because that is the movie I'm talking about. Halloween 5, they put black mesh over the eye holes, and it looks fucking terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. It looks like a cheap mask. Like it doesn't. The original Michael Myers mask, for anybody who doesn't know, the original Michael Myers mask was basically what happened is when they were making the first Halloween film, I don't know why, but they wanted a mask for the killer, but they didn't have a lot of money in the budget, so they went to the Halloween store and they bought a William Shatner mask. William Shatner, famous from Star Trek. They bought a William Shatner mask, and then they painted it white, and they messed up the hair. Uh, and that's what the whole Halloween mask is. Um, so it's already like a cheap mask and all that, and it's just meant to look like some kind of like generic ghoul. But then like this film, a, it's like a cheap mask of a cheap mask. It's literally like just this cheap, shitty, fucking. it's like the, it's like how you get like those like little kid Halloween costumes when you're a kid, and they're like, it's like a onesie with like a cheap plastic mask. Like I had one of Darth Vader. I remember that. It came with a cape. It was like the worst Darth Vader costume ever. But anyway, though, that's what this mask kind of reminds me of. It's just this like cheap garbage. Like if you go to Spirit of Halloween, they'll have really good, high quality Michael Myers masks, and those are like $50. And then they'll be like, oh, but if you can't afford the $50 mask, we have a $10 mask down here. And that's what this mask in this movie reminds me of. It just reminds me of cheap shit. It's like, it's terrible. I can't believe they even fucking thought that was like a good idea. Um, so anyway, the last movie in the Michael Myers saga, or actually, nah, you know what? Too late. I already called it the Michael Myers saga. If I say anything else, I'll just confuse everybody. Michael Myers saga ends and concludes with Halloween, the curse of Michael Myers. um, so in this one, the little girl's gone. I think. I can't remember now. She's gone. And I don't know where. Oh no, the little girl's grown up in this one. She's like all grown up, and she's had a kid of her own. And a cult is involved, and the cult wants to sacrifice her kid to Michael Myers for some, I don't know, like voodoo points, like tokens to spend at the arcade maybe. But it's all I know is like it's poorly explained at first, and I didn't know that was her until they like talk about it after she's dead. They kill her, spoiler warning, or Michael kills her, spoiler warning, after a really long and embarrassing chase scene where Jamie Strode, daughter of Laurie Strode, can't outrun Michael Myers in a fucking pickup truck. She, I, I'm just as baffled as the rest of the audience. I know. Um, she gets like penetrated on some fucking farm equipment, but she stuffs her child in a fucking gas station cabinet to save it. Which, to be honest, I think it would have been safer to give the child to Michael Myers. I feel like a crackhead would have found that child, but fortunately for her, Tommy, the kid from the very first movie, who's now all grown up, finds her, and then Dr. Loomis shows up again, uh, for no real good reason. His scars magically disappeared. He gets scars because at the end of the second movie he sacrifices himself. At the end of the second movie, he sacrifices himself to kill Michael Myers. And then after Halloween 3, they wanted to make another Halloween movie, but they needed to bring back Michael Myers and they wanted to bring back Dr. Loomis. So they had to they came up with some convoluted bullshit that he survived somehow. Anyway though, in this movie, Halloween 6, technically speaking, Loomis's scars are just magically gone. Michael's out to kill the baby, so he's chasing people down. He's chasing the baby down the whole movie. And then at the end, like, stuff happens in the hospital. This movie is very baffling. It's not very good. There's actually two versions of this movie. There's like the original cut, which, okay, actually let me explain this because so basically, Halloween the the Curse of Michael Myers came out. What before it came out, the studio was put it through test audiences because the science, and the science discovered that 14-year-old boys did not find Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers, entertaining, so or scary. So they completely re-edited the movie, and it came out and it was terrible. Then they did another edit of the movie later on, and it's slightly more bearable. And I believe the version I watched was the re-edit, because I seem to recall watching the original version of The Curse of Michael Myers before, but it was completely unbearable. Like, it was just very hard to watch. Um, they somehow fixed it. Um, Basically, this movie ends with it's just got a really weird ending, and it was meant to tie into a sequel. But Donald Pleasance died. Thank you for the message. Donald Pleasance died before they could make the sequel. So he actually died before they even released Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, which is why basically what happened was is when they went to go do the re-edits to please 14-year-old boys, um, basically they were fucked because the guy who played Loomis is dead, and now they can't redo any of the scenes, so they butchered the movie, and then they kind of slightly unbutchered it when they did the re-edit. But yeah, Loomis dies, or Donald Pleasance dies, and that ends the Michael Myers saga. It's done. It ends right there. So now we're gonna backpedal. We're gonna backpedal to, or actually, it's not technically backpedaling. So that's the Michael Myers saga timeline. The next timeline is the H2O timeline. So they go to make another Halloween movie, and they they finally convinced Jamie Lee Curtis to take a break from Activia commercials to make Halloween H2O, which basically is Halloween H2O. They said, okay, we're gonna ignore Halloween 2 all the way to Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, and Halloween H2O is the new Halloween 2. So the timeline works like this: is that in Halloween H2O, which is the next film, Laurie Strode is now the headmaster of a boarding school somewhere in California. Um, and it's been 20 years since Michael Myers uh, attacked her, and now she's got a son of her own. But Laurie has nightmares and stuff. Michael Myers returns, of course, and he comes to the boarding school. And I just remembered that this film is incredibly boring. It's actually extremely boring. There's like very few kills. Michael does not get a lot of kills in this film. He gets let's see, he kills a couple people in the beginning. Then he goes to the boarding school, and he kills like two of the kids. Yeah, he kills two of the kids, and Laurie's boyfriend, and then there's no other kills at the boarding school. It just That's it. It's like he gets like 4 kills in this film, I think. There's probably a couple others, but this film is boring. It's not interesting. Once again, none of the characters are likable. None of them. Not even like Jamie Lee Curtis. I wasn't rooting for her during this film. The film ends, and this film they had they decided to do the sequel bait, do some sequel baiting, and it's actually very subtle sequel baiting. If you're not paying attention to the film, you'll miss it. But basically, what happens is off screen, uh, they don't show you any of this until the sequel. But off screen, Michael knocks out a paramedic and puts his costume on the paramedic. He crushes like the paramedic's lyrics so he can't talk. And then he puts on the paramedic's uniform and then he just like walks off the campus. Um, that happens in the next. They show that in the next film, but in this film they don't show any of that. All they show what happens is at the end of this at the end of Halloween H2O, Laurie just goes crazy and she basically steals the van they packed Michael Myers' body into, and she's driving away because she wants to go cut up the body, and the paramedic wakes up and he's trying to stop her or he's trying to get her attention, but she thinks he's Michael. So she crashes the van and then she murders the paramedic. And of course, when the police show up, they find out it was they arrest her because she fucking went nuts and she ended up murdering an innocent person. Um, this leads to Halloween Resurrection, which is the third film in the H2O timeline. And basically, in the H2O timeline, or in Halloween Resurrection, of course they reveal that it turns out Michael swapped places with the paramedic. So Laurie's in a mental institute, and they basically they kill off Laurie right off the bat. Like this, Michael breaks into the mental institute and he kills Jamie Lee Curtis right off the bat because I guess Jamie Lee Curtis probably didn't want anything to do with Halloween anymore. She wanted to go back to Activia commercials. So, now what do you do? Well, Michael decides to go back to his home, and when he goes back to his home, it turns out a famous rapper is trying to host an internet TV show uh, in his house. And this is like back in like early 2000s, I think, maybe late 90s. I'm not an internet expert. I was a dummy when this was probably like 2001 bullshit. But anyway, he's running an internet TV live stream, which that I do know was kind of ahead of its time. I know that live streaming wasn't exactly a thing back during during that era. But just a second. You're gonna hear a loud noise. It's not the sound of a soda can. Definitely not. Okay, I lied. It was soda. I'm getting thirsty. I've been talking about these movies for about 30 fucking minutes now. Anyway, so uh basically this sequel is kind of boring too, but at the same time, um you know, a lot of those films were like in the early 2000s where they have internet in it and they're like being really weird and cheesy and stuff. Surprisingly, this one didn't feel that cheesy. I know it sounds weird, but it's like, so basically what happens is like because they're live streaming, Michael's killing all these people and people on the internet are watching, and some people think it's fake, others think it's real. One guy knows it's real, so he's like, at one point in the movie, he's like helping one of the people survive by texting them and telling them where he is, which I thought was actually kind of smart for the most part. Um, I don't know why the lady wouldn't just call for the police. um, with her, I think it was a cell phone or maybe it was a pager. I don't know, but she probably should have called the police, but she didn't. But whatever, it's slasher film. I thought that was actually kind of a neat idea, neat trick. It didn't feel, because it actually felt like, it actually kind of felt real. Like it felt like that's what would really happen. Like right now, especially if you're like if you're live streaming from like a serial killer, like Ted Bundy's house, and then Ted Bundy shows up and starts murdering everybody, you some people would legitimately think it's like a prank and they would just ignore it, and then other people, there would be people on the internet freaking the fuck out. Um, actually, that kind of actually stuck. It doesn't feel nearly as cheesy as most other films from the early 2000s when it comes to like internet stuff. The cheesiest part about it is the rapper um, turned movie actor that they put in the film. That part felt really cheesy. That part felt really dated. Um, uh, I don't even know the rapper's name. I feel bad because he's actually kind of one of the more entertaining parts of the film. You get to watch him beat up Michael Myers. But other than that, though, the film's kind of boring. Um, Not a masterpiece by any means, but one of the more, I guess, one of the more standoutish sequels. Uh, be, uh, it's just, I don't know what to say other than that. So that ends the H2O timeline. That's a three B for you, ladies and gentlemen. Only 3 films in that time. Actually, the longest one is the Michael Myers saga. The rest of them are all pretty short. Now I'm going to talk about I'm going to call the reboot franchise, which so far there's only 3 films in this continuity. So, Halloween 2018, the movie, is basically a sequel. It's a sequel to the first Halloween. Um, and I just remember, so this one I hadn't watched. This is like the one Halloween movie I have not watched this year. I don't have access to it. I watched it way back when it came out, and it was actually, I do remember, it was actually pretty good for the most part. I I didn't like any of the characters. Once again, I wasn't rooting for any of them. Once again, but man, Michael was brutal in that film. Like, uh, there's this one part where he's just going through the neighborhood, and I think he's just trying to get to Laurie's house, and he literally is just murdering people as he goes through their houses. It's brutal. It's fucked up, but it works. Not much else I can really say about that. I do kind of like the idea that for a little that uh, Laurie is trying to hunt Michael at one point, and I do remember Michael actually seemed like he was legitimately scared at one point. I thought that was kind of a fun little twist. Other than that, though, the film was pretty good. Um, nothing too nothing too nothing else I could really say about it. It's just that one was an okay film. It was uh one of the good Halloween sequels, which there's not a lot of. um, the next one in the reboot franchise is Halloween Kills, and my God, this one is one of the worst Halloween. This is actually a really bad Halloween film, in my opinion. Uh, Halloween Kills is like, man, oh man, how do you quantify it? Um, Laurie doesn't do anything in the film except for talk about how bad Michael Myers is. Um, they brought back a bunch of characters from the first film that nobody gave a fuck about, and nobody still gives a fuck about. um, they, they, oh my God, there's this part where the whole town's like turning into an angry mob, and they want to kill Michael Myers. And for starters, this is something they already did in. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if my memory can be jogged. Halloween. I want to say Halloween 4. Halloween 4. Yes. Halloween 4. They had an angry mob. Now they did this. They did this scene already, but so in Halloween Kills, they have a scene where you have an angry mob, and they do a case of mistaken identity, and they chase after this random like mental patient that apparently escaped from the bus in Halloween 2018. He he fucking they chase this poor man up the hospital, and he jumps out the window and commits suicide. Now, when I say this, it sounds like This is like a quick. Now, when I say this, if you were watching a film, you would think this is like a five, like not even like a 2 minute scene. Literally, you see people. There's Michael. They chase him up the stairs and he jumps. But no, 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 no. That's not what this fucking scene goes on for like I think 5 minutes. Like not maybe more than that. And I know that. Oh wow, for only five. Well, in a movie that's a long time. You could get a lot done in 5 minutes. And oh my, like the scene just went on and on. And basically, this was like some of I think John Carpenter had to do with it. I'm gonna blame it on John Carpenter because I can. It was like some of John Carpenter's like social commentary, but it feels like somebody said, you know what? I don't think the audience will understand the social commentary, so let's slow it down so the audience will understand it. And as a result, the scene's just really stupid. And they like want you to like feel really bad for this like guy jumping out a window and all that shit, and then they say the quiet part out loud where, oh, Michael's turning us into monsters. It's like, oh my god, it's dumb because it's like, if you have to explain it to your audience, if you have to slow it down to your audience, it's probably not something worth putting in the fucking film. If you think your audience is so stupid that they won't understand it, then, well, quite frankly, you're dumb. People are pretty smart, and they're able to pick up on things. And as I was saying, they did this scene already once in Halloween 4. There's a scene where this angry mob is going around town. A bunch of angry good old boys in their pickup trucks are going around with shotguns looking for Michael Myers. And at one point they think they found him, so they just start shooting at the bush. And then they go over and they find out they shot at the wrong person. And guess what? The scene was over. They didn't say the quiet part out loud. They didn't do any of that shit. The scene was like a one and done thing. It's exactly how Halloween Kills should have did the scene, but they didn't. But everybody in the town's obsessed with Michael. It's like 40. It's been 40 years, and everybody's obsessed with Michael Myers, and everybody won't shut the fuck up about it. It's dumb. It's like, it's just nobody will shut the fuck up. The best part about the film, the best part about the movie. Let me get a sippy poo. Excuse me. The best part about the movie is the kills. Not all of them, but a lot of them. There's a couple kills where they're kind of mean-spirited, and Michael's like, it's like this like old couple, and they're playing with the drone, and then Michael kills them, and it's just brutal. It felt mean-spirited because the couple weren't like unlikable. They were like fine they weren't like deep characters. They weren't on screen very long. So the way Michael kills them, it's like it was almost like as if he personally hated them in a way. It just felt more brutal than it needed to be. If like you're gonna kill this random old couple, fine. Just have Michael fucking stab him. Get it over with. But a lot of the kills though are really good. There's this scene where a bunch of them are in a car, and Michael's like taking them out one by one. And my favorite part is this lady in a nurse costume. She's like walking towards the car Michael's in, shooting at him with a gun and missing with every shot. This dumb cunt. She's like a bitch for like whatever amount of time she's on screen. She's just like cunt to her husband. But her husband's also a fucking pussy, so he gets stabbed in the eye, which made me laugh really hard. And then this cunt's walking up to the car, shooting at Michael and missing with every fucking shot. And then she gets right next to the car, and the best fucking thing happens. Michael opens the door, like it slams her gun with the door, and she accidentally turns the gun on herself and shoots her fucking brains out. And it was the best thing ever. I loved it. I love when stupid shit like that happens. Michael, oh man, there's just a bunch of shit like that. He kills those people, and then I don't think he gets any kills for a while. And then at the end of the film, they do this stupid thing where a bunch of the characters you met in the movie are beating up Michael, and then Michael suddenly activates God mode, and he fucking just kills every single one of them. And then he goes and he kills Laurie's like the new daughter. She's got a new daughter. I don't know if I mentioned that. This was established in Halloween 2018, but she's got not just a new daughter, but she's also got a granddaughter. Um, which, come to think of it, I don't know if that's because of the ages of the kids. I don't know if that's actually possible. Like for the age differences between the characters, it's possible in 40 years for you to have a kid and then that kid to grow up and have their kids of their own. It's just it feels like her daughter feels like she's like only like I don't know like not 20 years younger than her, if that makes sense. And then her granddaughter feels like she's like 21. It just doesn't jive in my head. The age differences don't make sense. I feel like the granddaughter should be like at least like a 10-year-old girl or something like that. Um, but I could be mistaken. Um, oh, and then one of my most favorite kills, something that kind of plays into something I was talking about earlier, which is Michael's kind of a smart killer. He doesn't get tricked by people. Is they have this part where Laurie's granddaughter, is standing at the bottom, or she's laying on the ground at the bottom of some stairs, pleading for Michael not to kill her boyfriend. And he's like, he broke like the railing on some stairs and shoved her boyfriend's head between it, and he's still alive. And Michael stops killing him to walk down towards her. And at first you think it's like one of those things where, Michael's going to be distracted, and while he's distracted, the boyfriend's going to get up and save the day, right? Nope, fuck no. As Michael's coming down the stairs, he grabs the boyfriend's head and fucking breaks his neck. It's like, yeah, Michael doesn't fall for that shit. He doesn't care. Michael's not a idiot where he gets distracted by a shiny object. He's like, nah, I'll finish you off. It was brilliant. Worked great in my opinion. Um, the kills aspects. The kills were actually kind of the very few kills that we did get to see were pretty good for the most part. Michael Myers slaughtering all those fireworkers, that felt mean spirited, especially since he did a he decorated the place with their bodies afterwards, which again it feels mean spirited. I don't feel like that's something. If Michael's like on a mission to kill somebody, I don't feel like he's gonna stop to fucking decorate the place with their bodies, but whatever. Halloween Kills though. It's not it's one of the really bad Halloween movies, but it's not the worst Halloween movie. I'll get to that one. Don't you fucking worry. But that ends the reboot series so far, the reboot Halloween series. I heard there's another Halloween movie confirmed, so hopefully it'll be better than Halloween Kills. Although, if you look at the track record of Halloween movies, that's not looking likely. I'm going to take a break from the Michael Myers Halloween movies. And we're going to backtrack all the way to Halloween 3. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, Halloween 3, here's what happened. I think they went back to John Carpenter, and they were like, we want another Halloween movie. But John Carpenter's like, okay, but I killed Michael Myers. He's dead. So, let's turn Halloween into an anthology series. Which, I actually kind of like that idea. So, Halloween 3 is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And basically Halloween 3, what it's about is basically what it's about is this doctor, he gets a patient who was attacked, and then a mystery happens. And the mystery is basically this the answer to the mystery is this, is that there's a toy company called the Silver Shamrock Antiquities or something like that, or not? No, Silver. Silver Shamrock Novelties. That's it. It turns out the owner is like a warlock or a witch or a wizard or something like that. And there's like some sort of ritual coming up where he'll have an opportunity where the stars are aligning and he'll have an opportunity to kill a whole lot of people. And he stole a piece of Stonehenge and he put little pieces of Stonehenges into Halloween masks, which he sold to children all around the country. And then he told children around the country, if you watch your TV set at this time of night, you'll probably win a prize. And what he didn't tell the children is the prize is their heads will probably turn into pumpkin mush. um, so basically, this doctor tries to stop him. And now the movie, Halloween 3 is not a very good movie. It's actually got a lot of flaws. It's, uh, like the characters are all unlikable. Once again, none of the characters are likable. I actually kind of like. I wish I can remember his name. I guess I don't like his character that much if I can't remember his name. But the villain, I thought he was actually really charming. I don't know who that actor is, but he was really charming in that role. I digged it. It was very he he was like evil, but he was like Disney evil, kind of. He's smiling. He's happy that he's doing evil things and hurting people. I kind of liked that. He actually had charisma for a gentleman of his age, um, which is not something a lot of old people can really say. But yeah, it was. I believed him in that role. He was actually pretty decent in that role. Um, Everyone else is around him was kind of shit though. Like they had this stupid, like, oh my god, this part was embarrassing. But at one point, the doctor has sex with this like woman he met, but there's like no chemistry between the two characters, like none. And there wasn't even a hint that these two characters were like. Pardon me, I apologize for that. There was no hint that these two characters were like romantically interested in each other. So it was just kind of this like awkward like, hey, let's have sex, babe. Okay. it was it was not good, ladies and gentlemen. It was not good. Uh, Man, oh man. And then bunch of like it has a bunch of interesting ideas, but a lot of the execution was kind of botched. And I think it's a shame that this film didn't work out because I kind of like the idea of an anthology series. And I wish somebody out there would do something like basically a Twilight Zone, but in movie form. Uh, but yeah, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. It's one of the sequels, I suppose. Um, a little tidbit. So people went to go watch Halloween 3, and then they realized Michael Myers wasn't in the film. Why isn't Michael Myers in the film? Well, when they made the sequels, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And then Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. If you're not catching my drift, they basically wanted to make sure people knew that Michael Myers was in these sequels. Um, yeah, they learned from their mistake not to ever be creative ever again. I shouldn't say that, but you know, whatever. Now the final set of movies is one of the more controversial Halloween movies, so to speak. In terms of, actually, I shouldn't say controversial. Most people don't like these films. But it's the Rob Zombie Halloween films. Now, we'll start obviously with a Rob Zombie film, Halloween. The first Halloween. So, controversial opinion. I kind of like this film. Rob Zombie's first Halloween movie. I kind of like it because, for starters, it tidies up the retcon that Laurie is Michael's sister. Uh, Again, if in case I didn't mention it earlier, Michael, Laurie Strode being Michael's sister was not established in the first film. It was established in the second film because I, uh, I think John Carpenter thought he needed to give Michael an excuse for chasing Laurie into a hospital. Um, so in that regard, that's actually something that kind of helped out with the explanation of like, or it kind of helped out with the tidying it up, making that whole thing more coherent in that regard. Also, it kind of helps to establish um, why Laurie would be living with different parents than Michael's parents, because that's something that was like a plot hole that establishing that Laurie was Michael Myers' sister created was that Laurie's parents were now not the same as Michael's parents. For some reason, she was adopted. They didn't just. I didn't really do a good job establishing that, but Halloween 2, like, it's like, okay, yeah, Michael kills his whole family, basically, except for his mother. His mother offs herself, but it helps to establish why she's orphaned and all that. I think that those little things, I think it benefited. The Rob Zombie remake of Halloween benefited in that regard. Um, other than other than that, though, a lot of it it's not very good. uh, too much shake, way too much shaky cam. There's one time they use the shaky cam and I like it, and it's this part where Michael's fucking beating this guy in a bathroom stall, and he's slamming the guy in the bathroom stall, and they time the shaking with Michael slamming the guy in the stall, and it works perfectly in my opinion because you actually can kind of almost feel the impact of that guy hitting the fucking bathroom stall, and it works great. Other than that, though, way too much shaky cam, like way too fucking much, way too many close-ups, and once again, none of the characters are likable. But it's even worse in this film because Laurie Strode is not likable, which that's a problem. If Laurie Strode's going to be your main character, she should be likable. If you want to root for her survival, she should be established as being a character that you definitely do not want to die. Um, I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Loomis in this, but he plays a really good Loomis. Dr. Loomis. I don't know his fucking name. Um, but yeah, it's there's good parts in this and bad parts. It's not a very good film, but it's got a soft spot in my heart just because of that's actually the first Halloween movie I seen, and I liked it when I was a kid. I liked it fine enough. Um, but yeah, it's if you're like a hardcore film fan, you're probably not gonna like it because it's not actually a good film. It's just uh, it's an adequate film. Um, and but I guess that's really all I have to say about it.